Guys, I want to have a very serious talk with you all, and like all serious talks, it's usually best to open with a joke. Nickelodeon. That's all I really need because as far as I can tell, Nickelodeon is nothing more than a punchline now. In my SpongeBob You're Fired review, I said that Nickelodeon needed to die. At the time I was debating how much I meant that sentence, but let me state for the record, Nickelodeon needs to fucking die. I have to ask, what the hell happened to this network? For those just joining me, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. Once upon a time, Nicktoons fucking meant something.
We can rebuild the cages and sweep up. Your birds will come back.
Of course they'll come back. They're birds. I trust them. I understand them. It's people I don't understand. Some people are meant to be with people, and others, like me, are just different.
When I was a kid, there were three major cartoon channels: Cartoon Network, Toon Disney, and Nickelodeon. And let me tell you, I had a hard time choosing which was my favorite of the three. Cartoon Network had the original cartoons like Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, which I have been praising since almost the beginning. Toon Disney had Dave the Barbarian, Recess, Darkwing Duck, and so many more. But Nickelodeon had the original Nicktoons: Rocko's Modern Life, Hey Arnold, Rugrats, and yes, even early SpongeBob. Those shows have episodes that are still remembered and loved even today. But all of that together wouldn't begin to describe my feelings towards the network today. At present, there are still three main cartoon channels, but Nickelodeon is not one of them. So for the entire month of April, I'm going to be taking down the excuses for shows that Nickelodeon is still airing today, instead of the aforementioned classics. I understand that Cartoon Network has also gone through fallow periods, like suffering from MTV syndrome and showing live-action shows. Dude, what would happen if we canceled your show? But those crappy shows that filled the mid-2000s like Squirrel Boy, they knew not to call cartoons. Not to mention that lately they're really climbing out of their doldrums. Whether you like them or not, you can't deny that Adventure Time and Regular Show have large fan bases. Not to mention their surprise hit of Steven Universe. Disney Channel has Phineas and Ferb and Gravity Falls. What's that third cartoon channel? The Hub. Even ignoring their biggest hit, they've also got Dan Vs. and Littlest Pet Shop, which have gone on to get decent fan bases. What does Nickelodeon have? They have Sanjay and Craig, which features sugar-high characters with lots of toilet humor. They have Fanboy Chum Chum, which features sugar-high characters with no sense of pacing. And they have Breadwinners, which features poorly made flash animation with lots of toilet humor. So, apparently, Madballs, Bubsy, and Control-Alt-Delete were picked up for actual series thanks to Nickelodeon. I've gotten so many requests to tackle these shows, but in all honesty, they've been on my hit list forever. So, let's start off with Sanjay and Craig. You probably read the title of today's episode. I'll say something to the show's defense. You cannot judge a show by one episode. I don't judge the Powerpuff Girls by Town and Out, and I don't judge Friendship is Magic by the mysterious Mare-do-Well. However, with episode titles like Stink Boy, Unbarfable, and Old Farts, I think it's safe to say that if you don't like this episode, there's a good chance you won't like very many episodes from the show. And considering that Modern SpongeBob's art director, Tom Yusumi, is the actual director of the show, it doesn't bode well of the show's quality. But one thing in the show overall that I actually do have to complain about is its character design. The characters here look almost a lawsuit level similar to Bob's Burgers. I know that both shows have the same character designer, but take a look at this. These are the characters from American Dad. They look totally unique from Family Guy, despite taking place in the same universe. Having the same character designer is no excuse not to give your character designs their own unique personalities. It's also no excuse to steal the facial expressions from Adventure Time, but I've stalled long enough. Let's take a look at the episode where, and I quote from Wikipedia, Sanjay and Craig become the proud parents of a fart baby. You could probably already see the clever inspiration from the Ren and Stimpy adult party cartoon episode, Stimpy's Pregnant, which I can't show you. Not for copyright reasons, but for other YouTube standards. Yeah, sometimes this doesn't cut it. Let's start with the title card. Get used to that sound. Trust me, you'll want to get used to that really quickly. The episode starts in an arcade, where they're serving chicken wings. Sanjay tries to flirt with a girl. When she walks off, he farts. Then Sanjay and Craig get into a farting competition. It's gonna be a fun episode already, I can tell. Let's ask one simple question. Why are farts funny? When we answer that question, we'll know why this episode fails on such a hard front. True, some things like basic slapstick, and yes, farts are inherently funny, but nothing is automatically funny. A cornerstone of humor is surprise. If you fail to surprise your audience, the joke won't work, and your joke joke can become cringeworthy. This is why each time you use the same joke, it gets less and less funny. Farts are funny because they often come at the most inopportune time and embarrass the character farting. As you can see, since they're trying to fart, there is no embarrassment. Therefore, there is no comedy. Instead, it's just a dick measuring contest. Oh wait, Sanjay's a snake. Do snakes... No, do not answer that. I do not want to know. Anyway, being pissed off, Craig downs a bunch of chicken wings, bones and all, and tries to fart in Craig's face. All of a sudden, the girl walks by. Now see, if Craig farted here, it would be funny because it would put him in embarrassment. Instead, he's insistent on holding it in while he pays his tab. Then he runs outside, but finds himself unable to fart, and all of a sudden, he gets a bulge in his chest. What this episode fails to understand is that the simple act of farting is not funny. There needs to be some misfortune on someone's part.
This is nice!
Oh hey, this doesn't work because Sanjay isn't embarrassed by it. A show that relies on toilet humor should know this shit! Sanjay awakens that night to find his stomach has bulged. Craig decides that they need to get it out as soon as possible and tries to constrict him, but that doesn't work. They decide to go to the hospital where his mother, who is a doctor, lets him see it for some reason. So yes, if you haven't guessed, they are treating this ball of gas like an actual pregnancy. Something like this usually walks a fine line between funny and disturbing. They walk nowhere near that line. For an absurd situation to be funny, you need to play up its absurdity, or else it becomes disturbing.
Is that heaven? No, man. That's your fart.
Or stupid. Yeah, in this case, it's just stupid.
Oh, please, I've had too much cabbage. Fart, I must see it.
So does this world treat all farts like pregnancies? I don't get it! Random crap isn't funny, it's just random.
Now I know what it's like to truly love something.
Let's see how far they're gonna go with this. You thought the Fairly Odd Baby went too far? You ain't seen nothing yet. So Sanjay tapes up Craig's ass. Oh wait, his pants. Okay, how the hell does that even work? I mean, if he actually did tape up his ass, I would sort of understand. But pants are not attached to your ass, and they do not prevent farts from getting out. Apparently it does, though.
Dude, do you realize this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to us?
Good to know that I won't be missing out on anything by not watching any other episodes of the show. So Sanjay and Craig go on annoying everybody. Remember that farts are usually funny because they inherently have the elements of surprise and embarrassment. This episode has taken away both of those elements, and what we have instead is Sanjay and Craig acting like asses, both figuratively and literally.
Who is this? Well, I refuse to dignify that with a response.
I'd like to say the same thing, but if I refused to dignify any of their failed jokes, this review would only be 30 seconds long. Also, prank calls aren't inherently funny either. There's a way to do it properly.
That's your idea of a joke?
Dude.
Seems like it. You know, I have seen this idea done right before. Check the SpongeBob Season 7 episode Perfect Chemistry. It had some of the funniest fart jokes that I've seen in quite some time. So yes, SpongeBob in its worst season managed to be better than Sanjay and Craig using its staple humor. And considering that they don't think they're being annoying enough, they decide to avoid their mother's advice and eat as much spicy food as possible. Sanjay eats the concoction, and that makes the shit bigger.
Let's immortalize this precious moment forever!
Oh, I plan to in order to make sure that no one ever tries this crap again.
Tabitha?
Yeah, man, I needed a name.
I feel like a character that I care about a lot has been disgraced somehow. But in all seriousness, anyone with the name Tabitha, I personally apologize on behalf of this episode. Then the gas starts lifting Sanjay, which he uses to jump like he's on the fucking moon, until he starts falling down the stairs. And I just realized, speaking of SpongeBob, this episode is a ripoff of Slide Whistle Stooges. Scratch that, it's Slide Whistle Stooges with farting noises. Slide Whistle Stooges. SpongeBob and Patrick go around annoying everyone, Squidward specifically, with slide whistles. Even the title card has slide whistles. It is one of the most annoying episodes of that whole show. So yeah, this episode is pretty much Slide Whistle Stooges with farting noises instead of slide whistles. And no, that doesn't improve anything.
Careless. We've been lucky so far, but you've got to be more responsible.
Look, I don't need somebody telling me what to do. I know my body, alright?
Hey, they're treating it like an actual pregnancy after Sanjay tumbled down it on the stairs. Yeah, that's not horribly disturbing or anything. So they take their fart baby to a photo shoot because I don't fucking know. Then they get into another fight because haha, hormones are so fucking funny, especially when there's no real reason for them to start acting up. They start pulling at it because I don't fucking know, and Craig apparently goes into labor. It is one of the most unpleasant things I've ever seen.
I'm doing the best I can. This is all new to me too, Sanjay.
Big fart joke, and what the fuck? The fart flies out the window, and
But look, Craig, it came back.
Craig tells him to let it go.
No matter how hard we try, there's just no holding back a fart.
Wait, are you trying to have a moment? No, okay? No. Nothing you've done thus far warrants you having a moment. These characters have been nothing but assholes, the plot is repetitive and stupid, and the toilet humor is lazy. For you to have a moment, you need to have characters that can be cared about. You need to put effort into the emotions. I've heard this show compared to Ren and Stimpy, and while I don't like that show by any stretch, they fucking knew how to do toilet humor. Hell, they even made this plot work. Check out the episode Son of Stimpy at some point. If you want to do toilet humor, fine, but actually know how to fucking do it! Ha ha ha, life in 15 seconds. You're gonna give up. You know what? No. This doesn't deserve to be associated with Up. Not even on a failed parody level. So it goes up to the old guy from earlier, and he pops it.
That's how I would want to go out. Farting in Newtman's face.
Better than farting in mine. Look, I don't know what to say. This show thinks that toilet humor is the easiest way to get a laugh out of the audience that it's pandering to, but it's too lazy to know how to do toilet humor correctly. A lot of people think that toilet humor is the lowest common denominator. No. Well-done toilet humor can be just as funny and entertaining as any other type of humor, but you've got to know the basic rules of comedy first. Surprise and misfortune are the basic tenements of any type of comedy. Neither of them were even attempted here. It's just two characters acting like an ass and farting in my face. Why did this review take so long to make? Well, let's start with the fact that the characters Fanboy and Chum Chum are annoying, obnoxious, and cause migraines. Which is fitting because the show has similar problems. Despite the show being more annoying and obnoxious than Bubsy could ever hope to be, and never should have made it past the pilot, I've actually debated reviewing it. The most important reason is that they aren't making new episodes. I mean, Nickelodeon is still airing episodes, presumably only because it's a CGI show, and for no other reason, but it's one of those shows that's only running through repeats, which thankfully means it's clear that it won't last for much longer. The other reason is that people actually like this show. They have asked me not to review it, and I have to ask, why? Why do you people like it? Look, nothing is without its fans. People comment all the time telling me that they like whatever atrocity that I've reviewed. Take Johnny Test. For some it's so bad it's good, and for others they like the resemblance to Dexter's Lab. But here, I don't get it. At all. The entire show is built around two of the most annoying characters ever constructed. Take Season 6 SpongeBob and Patrick, throw in an extra bucket of stupid, and the animalistic nature of a monkey, and the Frankenstein's monster you created is about 5 times more tolerable than Chum Chum. The more tolerable of these two. Fanboy even kinda looks like a monkey. And yes, I am getting their names right this time, thank you very much. That's what it all comes down to. If you can't make good characters, then no matter what plot you throw them into, it will inevitably be a disaster. Most of the worst cartoons of all time have failed on that principle alone. I am thoroughly convinced that the only reason that this show survived past its pilot is because Nickelodeon is filled with idiots and hacks! For me to show you in depth why this series fails is to take you through an episode. A prime example would be the episode Cold War. I'm warning you right now that the last Cold War was much more enjoyable than this piece of shit. At least the result of that was getting into space. There is no bright side here. Alright, I'm ready. Bring it on! Oh good, obnoxious sound effects over the title card. That never wears thin. If the Breadwinners episode has the same problem, I'm going to break something. So, the episode starts with rain, some kids go inside, and... Hey, remember when kids shows had actual pacing? You know, where they took the time to set up the catalyst to the plot? Seemed like such a long time ago. Yeah, one of the biggest problems with the series is the pacing. There is none. Every plot is erratic and moves in seemingly random directions. So, essentially, this show is what the people who hate Adventure Time think that Adventure Time is. Obnoxious characters and random bullshit. So, since the idiots were idiots, they got sick.
Look at the bright side. We may have colds, but at least we get to spend the day at home together, best hello mine.
I'm actually surprised that that's not all they do. I'm also surprised that they've got jobs. No, I don't know what drugs the people were on to hire them. Let's think about this and why I have a problem with this. SpongeBob, even though he couldn't function in actual society, was hired at the Krusty Krab because he was an amazing fry cook. Mordecai and Rigby, although they're kinda lazy, were probably hired because it was a minimum wage job that didn't require too much effort. If you worked at a convenience store, would you hire obnoxious kids that dressed in costumes and wore their underwear on the outside? Oh, and for the record, I've never seen them do anything with the whole superhero concept. Because, you know, that might have actually been bearable.
Now we're no work and all play.
Is that really different than how they act in any other episode? But let's focus on this episode. I'm reviewing this particular episode. This episode on its own and why it's an atrocity of its own right. Fanboy and Chum Chum do all their activities and get bored really quickly. So they decide to watch TV. Unfortunately, the batteries in their death ray laser are dead. That's seriously supposed to be a TV remote. Looks like the control for an RC car. So anyway, one of them are going to have to get up and change the channel on the television. But apparently they're too lazy to do this. And that slowly turns them against each other. This is supposedly out of character. But beyond being obnoxious as all hell, Fanboy and Chum Chum don't really have any character. Let's go back to SpongeBob. He has a specific job with his own specific skill level, his own specific hobby, and his own specific talents. He is, or was, a fully realized character. Since Fanboy and Chum Chum are pretty much the same character, what's their favorite hobby? Annoying people! Whatever they do, it always comes down to annoying people. What are they talented at? Annoying people! What do they do at their job? Annoy people. Could this work as a show? Yes, if the show is constantly about abusing them, instead of vice versa. Do you think that either of these guys ever get comeuppance for being the devil's anus? Nope, even when the show turns them against each other. So they turn on each other and start sneezing at each other.
If I'd have done it on purpose, I would have done this.
Thanks for that. I thought they were sick. You know, sneezing, headache, low energy. I mean, they were kinda sick just a second ago. All of a sudden, there's a ring at the door. This is Kyle. He's Squidward, but a wizard. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's Squidward except a wizard. And yes, I would say that he was the coolest part of the show, and the only reason to watch it if the writers didn't use him as an excuse to throw out any and all logic.
I got caught outside in the rain, which as you know is like acid to wizards.
So the best solution is to not seek immediate shelter and climb up a water tower towards the sky. Oh, and not be paranoid about the weather at all times. But seriously, you climbed up a water tower to seek shelter. No wait, you climbed up a water tower in acid rain to get out of the rain. That was really the easiest possible shelter you could find. And immediately, I know what you're thinking. This looks like a shitty rehash of Pineapple Fever. Don't worry, it's not. Instead, it's a shitty rehash of Naughty Nautical Neighbors. I always wondered what it would be like if they wrote it in Season 5 or Season 6. Fanboy and Chum Chum immediately begin fighting over Kyle, who I'm still annoyed is here at all. But yes, just like in Pineapple Fever, the episode would have been fine without Squidward. I mean Kyle. What the fuck does it matter? They're the same fucking character. You might as well call him Megward the Wizard. Why is this character type so fucking common? I know why. Because it's a mark of laziness. Actually, yeah. If there's a character that solely exists to be abused, it's not only a mark of laziness for me, but it is now an admission of laziness. If you put that kind of character in your show, you are admitting that you don't have the talent, effort, or wit to create a worthwhile character. Because this problem is even dipping into good shows too. And no one ever found it funny or compelling.
Right, this is a momentous decision. Who shall gain the privilege of being my best friend and playing with me? Are these the only choices?
No, you got one more. I hope you enjoyed that little image because for the rest of the episode, Fanboy and Chum Chum are in completely perfect health. Yeah, this episode got rid of their poorly established plot faster than shuffleboarding. But this time, there's pretty much no transition whatsoever. Since they're still in school, have Megward the Wizard take their homework to them. That's usually the standard option. And oh yeah, keep those two sick.
So, what do you want to do first? You want to play Dead On? Charlie Horse? Ices, Oopsies?
Perhaps a board game.
It's funny because Fanboy had no obsession with pain-oriented games at any point in this episode, or as far as I can tell in any other episode either. And now you figured out the main problem with this series as a whole. They don't care two shits about continuity. Not just between episodes, but within episodes as well. They also throw in random plot points with no thought of concept or transition that are dropped as quickly as they're brought up. I've read Mad Libs with more coherence than episodes of Fanboy and Chum Chum. It's not only laziness, but it's another admission of laziness. The writers cannot be bothered to follow a plot. In the meantime, we've got...
Okay then, how about Chinese checkers? Then again, that may get a bit high-spirited, what with the spice of the Orient.
Jokes that don't make sense. That sounded racist. I'm not sure, but I think that was racist. Yeah, I'm calling it racist. Then Kyle proves how terrible of a friend he is. In a well-constructed plot, this would help the two friends realize how much they value each other's friendships. In this episode, I think that that's what they were going for, but it just ends up being two other plot points thrown into the air. Also, in the meantime, Fanboy's a pretty terrible friend too. Great. He's obnoxious and detached from reality with no sense of empathy. Thank you for reinforcing his one character trait. Now it's Chum Chum's chance. Guess what? He's obnoxious and detached from reality with no sense of empathy. Thank you for reinforcing his one character trait. So yeah, they're pretty much the same fucking character. So why did I say that Chum Chum was the less annoying of the two? Because he has less of that one character trait. In fact, I almost think that he's misguided by Fanboy, who teaches him to be as obnoxious as him, which is pushing all of his would-be friends away from him and ruining his future. But who am I really kidding? That would require a coherent plot.
I call shenanigans!
Shenanigans! Gentlemen, shenanigans has been called. Send in the clones!
Which they are clearly unable to create. So yeah, Kyle essentially said that they were cheating, and so Fanboy and Chum Chum send out a bunch of miniature versions of themselves that they call clones. Are they robots? I don't know. Do they need to eat despite being kept in boxes? I don't know. Do they ever make another appearance? Not that I'm aware of. They're just there because, you know that saying, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks? Yeah, this show is where they put all the stuff that doesn't stick. Look, this isn't some cartoon from the 20s. You need to follow a set of rules. And you know what the great thing about animation is? Those rules can be whatever you want them to be. You can have a dog with the ability to morph, or a land where flying horses control the weather, but you need to follow the rules that you've created. I can only come to the conclusion that the writers have just flat out given up. At this point, they're telling me that they just don't give a shit anymore. Then again, they never did.
Hey, I'm not sick.
Wait, you were sick? When?
Promise to never do whatever got us mad at each other in the first place ever again.
Wanna go play out in the rain?
You read my mind, best friend.
Oh good, a bookend! They make great bludgeoning weapons, I hear. It can always get worse. I keep telling myself this, but it never seems to sink in. Every time I found a new bottom of the barrel, I think that there's no worse that people could do. And it's no different here. It can't get any worse. It just can't. But you probably don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, Nickelodeon has made plenty of stupid decisions that hacked off their viewership left and right. Maybe it was something that SpongeBob did, maybe it was that piece of shit Last Airbender movie, or maybe it was them giving Fred his own show. It's stupid fucking decision after stupid fucking decision. Do I think that this show is worse than Alan Gregory? Yes, without a doubt. And the general consensus seems to agree with me. Alan Gregory has an IMDb rating of 4.4. Breadwinners has a rating of 2.7. But that really doesn't explain this. On some level, I can understand where Alan Gregory came from, trying to put a Stewie Griffin wannabe in the spotlight. Breadwinners' inception is hard to interpret. It was based on a YouTube web cartoon. The Nick execs saw this and gave the creators 20 full episodes. Now this isn't the first time that they've looked to YouTube for new talent. Like I said, they gave Fred his own show. Here's the thing though, back then, Fred was the #1 channel on YouTube. You kinda figure that someone would pick him up for his own show eventually. This is the pilot video of Breadwinners. Notice something? Yeah, the fucking video doesn't even have 150,000 views. And I took the screenshot last week, so it probably still hasn't passed the mark. Let me put this in perspective. This is Dusk's Dawn. Remember that? Notice that it has 200,000 views. You might want to watch my Dusk's Dawn review because it's going to help us put quite a few things into context. Like the animation. The animation in Breadwinners is some of the worst that I've ever seen. The worst that I have ever seen. Dusk's Dawn was better because they didn't rely on stock images that took 5 seconds to find in Google Images. Control-Alt-Delete was better because I could recognize their humans as humans. These are supposed to be ducks. Really. This is another bird from another cartoon, Mordecai. Notice anything different? Yeah, their birds don't look remotely like birds. I mean, they could have beaks, maybe wings, maybe webbed feet. Or how about something other than minimalist geometric shapes? But besides that, let's look at the pilot and try to see exactly what Nickelodeon saw in this 1 4.5-minute episode that possessed them to give them a full season. We're off to a great fucking start, aren't we? Let's start with their sound design.
Vadoos, is it not a beautiful day to deliver bread? Yep, yep.
The background music sounds like an 80s arcade game on speed.
Vadoos, is it not a beautiful day to deliver bread? Yep, yep. So
repetitive animation and stock images. Alright, so these episodes would be cheap to produce.
So big guy, what's our next stop?
8675309, Webster Lane.
Oh goody, one of their very first jokes in this video is a pop culture reference that kids won't get. Alright, before I should go on, this cartoon short was made to entertain other animators. Kinda like how a class clown is trying to entertain the nerd they have a crush on, that just ends up embarrassing themselves. So the general plot is that they deliver bread in a flying bus van thingamajigger.
Dance, too much booty in your pants.
Who are you trying to entertain again? Middle school dropouts? Then the small one asks if he could drive the rocket.
I want to drive the rocket van.
Well, you have no hand-eye coordination.
He's going to say yes. He's going to say yes. He's going to say yes.
The controls. I don't see why not.
Oh hey, he said yes. So the first thing he has to do is adjust the... What the fuck?
Step 2. acquaint yourself with the controls.
You and me, we're friends now, Lever.
Haha, it's the visual representation of a pun. And a terrible pun at that. Question, while you're teaching him all this stuff, who exactly is driving?
If you want to drive in a perfectly straight line, all you have to do is this. Up, up, down, down, left, left, right, left, blue, red, green.
Or touch absolutely nothing whatsoever. That really seemed to do the trick. Hey, a stock video game explosion that you stole from someone on the internet. That'll totally entertain your fellow animators.
Nope. Nope. No. Nope. Nope. No. No, 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 no. Nope. Nah.
Oh, sorry about that grating music in the background. I've almost gotten to the 12th level of elevator action. So Badooz, the small one, hits a lever with his ass, and they go into a nosedive.
Does this mean we're gonna crash and burn and die in a fiery death?
I wish.
We can finally have that zero-G dance party we always wanted to have!
Did somebody say zero-G dance party?
Wow, we're halfway through an animation that doesn't even crack 5 minutes, and they've already given up writing. Okay, so they're animators, not writers. I love it how they're using simple shapes in Flash. You see, the best thing about Flash is it allows you to move around complex shapes with minimal time and effort. So you can't get away with using these simple shapes if you're using Flash, or else you look incredibly fucking lazy. Now here's the real kicker. Even Dusk's Dawn understood this. Hell, even Johnny Test gets this. So the disco ball takes them to a rave where the Yeti thing randomly comes in and attacks them, despite being completely flung off the fucking thing earlier. They give him bread, he's friendly, and then he completely disappears. So the rocket van crashes. And yes, all explosion effects on the show use stock photos of bread. And these two somehow and unfortunately live. What joke did they decide to end the short on?
Are you Jenny Quackles? Hope you like toast!
Jenny does like toast.
Party punch!
Oh, by the way, for every other duck character, they use stock images of ducks. Unless your show has the style and effort into integration that Gumball has, you can't do that. It looks jarring at best and lazy at worst. And guess what? It looks lazy here.
Alright, Nick execs, someone emailed this to us saying that you're such talentless hacks, you'll probably make a shitty cartoon out of this. And that gave me the perfect idea. Let's make a cartoon out of this.
Well, it's got some toilet humor here and there. That's given us tons of ratings in the past.
But we've already got a whole show focused on that.
Okay, well, it doesn't follow a plot, which is essential because, as we all know, kids are too stupid to follow a plot.
But SpongeBob has been taking that place for years.
Well, the jokes don't follow any coherence either. I mean, it requires even less intelligence.
But we have Fanboy and Chum Chum for that.
Wait, do we have a show that does all of this gold at once?
No, we don't. That settles it. Get them on the phone and give them all our money.
But the animation is terrible.
Seriously, Zeus? When the fuck has animation ever been important to cartoons? What, how do you think it went down? What I'm trying to say here is that anything that this short did that would make execs think that it would be a success was already done by the other two fucking shows that I've reviewed this month. Even following the worst possible logic, what value is there in the short that seems like would be a good idea? But with the terrible ratings and everyone I've talked to about it calling it just awful, it had to be on the fast track for failure, right? How? No. Someone tell me. Someone just fucking tell me. How the fuck is this possible? It's not possible. Are people really this fucking stupid? Or am I just going fucking crazy? Maybe I've died and have gone to hell, because this is just what I fucking expect. That's just a pathetic, vile lie that's not even worth laughing at. Yeah, insulting their fucking intelligence. Pandering bullshit. Exposing them to infected splinters, driving their favorite characters to suicide, rehashing the most heinous stories ever told. Sanding down any quality that manages to slip through under their watch. Yeah, that's really putting kids first. No, at best, they only care about the bottom fucking line. And at worst, they are actually fucking malicious. They put kids first. You couldn't be any more insulting if you spit in my face after slaughtering my dog in front of it. Even a cursory look will reveal that bullshit lie for what it is. You are blind and stupid if you believe this. No, I'm gonna go on. When the dog shits on the carpet, you rub their noses on it and show them exactly what they did wrong. Sarah Bible, ain't that a fitting name? If any of this shit is putting kids first, I'd hate to think of how kids are under your care. Nickelodeon is one of the worst fucking companies in existence. Maybe that's because of Viacom, maybe it isn't. I don't fucking care. This almost makes me feel like what I'm doing is completely in vain. Yeah, I know that I'm not going to break through the thick skulls of people like Casey Alexander, but it's the kind of moment that makes you realize that I've been shouting at a hurricane this whole time. I could yell and scream as loud as possible, and it won't make a fucking difference. Nick is gonna keep making these atrocities and keep making them worse. And considering that this is the shit that people apparently want to see, who am I to complain? You'd think something would change by now, but it's impossible. It's impossible to change anything.
Do you give up?
Back.
Say goodbye. It's time to let go.
Will you abandon their hope? Can you not feel their desperation?
Did somebody say zero G?
Will evil forever rule the world? Have you forgotten?
No, I haven't forgotten. There was a time when Nick had viewership and it had respect. There's a reason that they've lost it. It's time to show you guys why. Just give me the latest episode of Breadwinners. Let's see what improvements they decide to place into this shit. Loaf, whatever, let's just do this shit. Maybe for once, someone will hear. Or even better, maybe for once, they'll fucking listen! Now, considering that they've got their own show, they've got an intro. We might as well take a look at it. Okay, I think we're done here. Let's take a look at the actual episode.
And do you, Sway, take this duck to be your lawfully wedded wife?
Apparently, marriage is his fantasy, and he's been kissing a picture of...
What? You've been smooching up that picture of Jenny Quackles all day!
Jenny Quackles? Wait a minute. That duck that they didn't know at all, that they were delivering bread to back in the pilot. Yeah, they're different fucking characters! They even have different appearances! Which is hard to believe since it would take some effort to find another stock photo of a duck. But really, you couldn't think of another name at all. I suppose that you're using your time for something better like...
Jenny Quackles.
You know how laziness seems to trump lack of quality in terms of badness with me? Yeah, there's absolutely no fucking effort here.
Jenny, she's my girl. She makes everything sweet.
That synth in the background is playing the same 5 keys over and over again.
Jenny.
They try to hide it with the same strum of a guitar. The song is ugly musically and ugly visually. Yes, please fucking kill him! Damn it. And yes, they are mining bread, because that's what they fucking do now. They mine bread and they deliver bread. Inside the thing that nearly mercy killed this episode is a loaf of bread with a heart on it. Before they eat it, their genie guy tells them that it's a love loaf.
You sure this isn't butt loaf?
Yeah, it totally looks like my butt.
There are a lot of jokes like that. Anyone who eats the love loaf will fall in love with the first person they see. This can only end so well. And apparently it caused a lot of trouble in the past. Hey, this is reminding me a lot of Hearts and Hooves Day. That's not a good thing. Also, the whole everything getting destroyed by a love drug was an unrealistic fantasy in that episode. Not something that actually fucking happened.
If I get Jenny Quackles to eat this, she'll fall in love with me. We'll get married and have little baby ducklings and live happily quackily ever after.
Quick question, you're supposed to be the good guy, right?
But look, amigo, love is not something you want to rush into.
No, the correct response is that you can't force anyone to love you, asshole. So they go to Jenny's house and meet her mother. She reveals that Jenny's at summer camp. Quick question, what age are these guys? I mean, Badooz and Sway actually have jobs and live on their own, but adults don't go to summer camp, and spoilers, Jenny ain't a camp counselor. And oh fuck, this just got a shit ton creepier. So they get knocked down the stairs, and Sway accidentally ends up eating some of the bread, and...
Hubba, I am one good-looking duck.
Did I say shit ton creepier? I meant 20 shit tons creepier. And yes, this is a romantic love, if you're asking.
Buckle up,
Ducky, 'cause we...
Hey, you still got that music that sounds more at home in a shitty porno than in a kid's cartoon. Anyway, they drive to summer camp, but boys aren't allowed inside. They make a joke about Sway Sway being in love, and then they forget about that subplot for a while. Then...
Level up! Gooey Ducks!
This hurts.
Jenny Quackles.
Anyone else feeling just the slightest bit nauseous right now?
Hey, my friend has a crush on you.
This could get extremely awkward extremely quickly. Anyway, before Badoo's, and yes, these names fucking hurt to say, can give the girl he's stalking the love drug, the camp counselors interrupt them, and almost see through their disguises.
There's something fishy about your breath.
We had a whole episode that was about you having terrible breath, dude. You're not one to talk.
Speaking of love and bread, that's right. Open wide.
911, I'd like to report a sexual assault in progress. Look at his fucking eyes! That's the look of mindless lust with no adherence to ethics or the other person involved. Who the fuck came up with that? Or, better yet, who the fuck didn't see that this would be a problem? And then we get another musical number. Is it just as bad as the last one?
So pretty, pretty. I'm so pretty.
Somewhere in the ballpark. Anyway, the song gets both of them discovered, somehow, and that gets them kicked out of camp.
I will not rest a feather until I get Jenny Quackles to eat this love loaf.
Yeah, police, he's been banned from the premises, but he's still persistent in having his way with her. You've got to get down here right now. And they enter the wrong cabin. And then we get a reprise of the first fucking song. Said the guy she had never even seen before. Spoilers, they wake up the camp counselors instead. They confiscate the love bread, and they channel the Canker sisters. Except worse. Why is this still hard to watch despite them fucking deserving it? Oh, replacing words and syllables with your animal species name. I haven't heard that one before. And then they fly off. Number one show, guys. Number one show for kids 2 to 11. I would say that this was like Transformers, but that actually had good animation and better writing. I mean, everyone involved knew that Alan Gregory was a terrible mistake that should have never happened. But imagine a network giving them 20 episodes based on their pilot. Now imagine that going on to be successful. Maybe it wasn't successful because adults can realize what's in front of them is crap. It took me the splinter to wake up and figure out that there were terrible episodes out there. No, I know how this shit happened. Adults don't care what their kids watch, as long as they don't showcase a disabled or gay person. You know, I grew up on cheap microwave food and crab macaroni and cheese. And now actual real food I can't eat. I hate the taste. Entertainment works in exactly the same way. You grow up watching crap, you become an adult who watches crap. Thanks, crazy old guy. I know what I have to do now.